Hello, my name is Christa Sinadinos, and I am the author of The Essential Guide to Western Botanical Medicine and the director and founder of the Northwest School for Botanical Studies. This is my book. I'm very excited to have it available to many different individuals because I can only house 16 people in my classroom, and it's a little challenging to move into the middle of nowhere in Northern California. So I really wanted to create an epic resource for practicing herbalists and intermediate and advanced herbalists. And I wanted to spend a lot of energy focusing on the Materia medica, and this book includes about 128 herbs covered over 550 pages with more than 1,000 botanical photographs. And in the Materia medica section, I break down, botanical descriptions, ethnobotanical and historical uses. I cover nutritional profiles. I wanted a resource that had as many of the constituents in plants as I could possibly, coalesce into one resource. There's a small section that includes the botanical preparations and dosages, so you can just quickly refer to that. Like, how do I prepare this? What's the dosage? What are the different options of preparations, both internal and topical? And then, of course, one of the things that really helps me to remember the names is to study the etymology. Like if you're learning Latin names and you understand, what the genus and epithet or the species name means, you'll have a lot easier time remembering the botanical names or the binomials than if you were to have no association with that whatsoever. So if you know something helps you to be well, then you might remember Valeriana, or if you knew like its name was officinalis, you'll know that was used at one point as an official drug plant. Or maybe it's vulgaris and it's a really common herb. So there's an in-depth Materia medica section with photographs of the plants in different stages. Often I'll include the roots, picture of the flowers, the foliage, roots or rhizomes, foliage, flowers, sometimes even fun little animals that are inhabiting or insects, because I really enjoy all of the aspects of herbalism, including, the habitat they're growing in and all of the different sweet little mammals and insects that, are part of herbalism as well. So anyways, first section is Herbal Materia medica, 550 pages. And then there are 3 other sections, an herbal medicine making section, which I go in depth into how to prepare the most common preparations like tinctures, fresh plant, dry plant, alcohol intermediary oil method, different medicinal oils, how to prepare glycerites, a bunch of other preparations. And then there's an herbal therapeutic formula section, which I break down according to organ systems. And I go through all the primary conditions you might be confronted with if you were working with friends, family, or in a practice. So it's got a good reference. You can modify the formulas according to what you have growing near you or what you have access to. But it goes through and basically gives you an idea of how to pull together a formula for a certain condition. And then we cover bullet point kind of the main properties of that formula and the main conditions it's used for. So it's a great quick reference. And then I spent many, many hours compiling the appendices and indices section, and we've got a compendium referencing like more than 200 conditions. So if you didn't want to read 4 pages or 5 pages about mullein, you might want to just go, okay, what would be a great drying expectorant? What would be a great moistening expectorant? Like I go through more than 200 properties and then list tons of herbs. I love kind of cataloging stuff like that. It comes very naturally to me. So one of the reasons I wrote this book and why it's so long and why I self-published, because it's really hard to find, well, 1, to find a publisher if you haven't published a book. 2, to find someone who's willing to publish 1,000 color photographs is next to impossible. And that is one of the things a lot of other herbalists said, like, they're allowing you to publish this many photographs in a book. And I'm like, no, I'm allowing myself to publish this many photographs and doing it exactly how I want to. And I can't say that was the least expensive process because, it takes time and energy to get all those photographs. I had a few friends who generously lent me photographs for the book, including Seven Song and Corey Pine Shane. sent a few photos over, and a couple of my students also helped photograph some of the plants that were a little more difficult to find photographs of, like yerba manza and some weird ones that we just couldn't find source photos for. But I am really proud of how the layout turned out. I worked with one of the most meticulous designers I've met in my life, and to the point where like we'd spend like about 6 hours sometimes just refocusing, altering the red, blue, gray of a certain photograph. We would spend hours just trying to find like the perfect photo of whatever, an oat seed in milk, or, you know, the rhizome. And she was very persnickety. I will say I spent like 5 months looking for photos, cataloging them. And then I brought them all to her and she's like, oh, no, this won't do, this won't do, this won't do. So anyways, what I thought would be a 4-month process with her ended up being a 2-year process. We worked together every week to design this, and she really did an impeccable job. She has an incredible eye. And I do think that helps bring this like step above some of the other books, just because people don't have the time, and book companies don't want to spend that much time editing and designing their books. I gotta say, I mean, you know, they got to crank that shit out so they can make money. So I'm really proud of what we ended up with. And it just makes me happy to have so many different photographs in one book, because, and I tried to create a resource where you could like go through and find all the information instead of cross-referencing tons of different books. And especially what I'm most proud of is that it includes all the clinical information, because I practiced for 25 years when I started writing this book. So I really wanted a source that was grounded and rooted in botanical medicine and the practice. And there are so many wonderful books out there that are beautifully researched. But when you ask the author, like how many years they treated patients, sometimes they didn't even treat patients. You know, that wasn't really their angle. So I really felt it was imperative to have all of that included from a practitioner. So anyways, it goes through, I'm not doing very good justice here to the photos. You can go through. But anyways, there's lots of fun photographs. I don't know how to quite do this gracefully. But, you know, I really tried to feature each herb and think like, oh, here's calendula. What does it look like while it's drying? What is it? What are the different variations of calendula that you can find from its budding phase into its opening phase? You know, what does it look like in a salve? It's got these handy little sections for preparation and dosage. Oh, another fun thing, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, is we feature the botanical name and the common name, and I went through and I tried to include as many common names from around the world as I possibly could find. And family names, like I said, botanical descriptions, etymology, historical uses, constituents, nutritional properties, medicinal properties, and then the therapeutics, of course, like if it's cooling, bitter, warming, hot, pungent, astringent, drying. I love the contraindications section. I spent a lot of energy doing that, like potential contras and cautions. And voila. So you can find this book on my website. It's www.christasinadinos.com. And occasionally we feature little deals here and there, little discounts. But basically, if you go to christasinadinos.com, you'll be able to find information about my book. And if you want more information about classes or potentially studying with me, it's Christa Sinadinos at herbaleducation.net. And
hey everyone, this is Mason with HerbRally. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and also go ahead and subscribe. We come out with new herbal content each and every week. If you didn't know, HerbRally also lists herbalism events. We list herbalism events chronologically. We list them also by state, so you can just go ahead and search by Oregon or Wisconsin or wherever you live. You can find out what herbalism events are happening in your neck of the woods. We also list herbalism events, virtual herbal events. So if you can't make it to an in-person conference or plant walk, we list lots of virtual events as well. To find out more, you could go to herbrally.com/events or herbrally.com/virtual. But if you can help it, I would highly recommend trying to go to an herbalism conference. Those are some of the best learning experiences I've ever had, and that's where you can find different herbal teachers, and then maybe you could perhaps take their apprenticeship. But yeah, just do what you can. Get out there and learn about the herbs, you know, like yarrow, dandelion, corn, you know, all the above, like all the medicinal herbs. And we'll see you out there. Hope to see you at an herb conference. All right, bye.